What's going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinking, bringing you guys a brand spanking new weekly series to the channel. The series that we are introducing to the channel is called Better Than Budget. So, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be having a head-to-head challenge of a whiskey that is over $40 against a whiskey that is under $30. And what we're seeing is if that budget bourbon under $30 is better than that whiskey that we spent a little bit more money on. So, we're going to make sure that both of these bourbons are pretty close in their flavor profiles. We're going to make sure that these whiskeys are close in proofing. And we're also going to make sure that these whiskeys are easily obtainable for everybody. We're also going to make this a shorter style video, hopefully under 7 minutes. We're not going to really dive too deep into the nose. We're not going to dive too deep into the palate. We're just going to go off of our initial instinct and gut reaction on which one we thought was best. It is going to be a blind tasting, so we have the markings on the bottom of our glasses for the whiskeys that we are going to be combining against each other. For episode number 1 of Better Than Budget, we are doing French oak stave finished bourbons. On the table, we have Penelope Architect going up against your traditional Maker's Mark 46. Let's get into it. Alright guys, got them on our spinny guy and let's mix them up a little bit. Alright, so Architect French oak stave finished whiskey bourbon at 104 proof, and your Maker's Mark 46 is right at 95.96. Let's dive deep into number 1 on our right. Alright, so on the nose it's a little thin. Can't really find much in this. Getting a little bit of that oak, a little sweetness, cherry a little bit, vanilla and caramel. Nothing too crazy is bouncing out. Let's get into the palate. Soft notes, getting that interesting factor from the French oak. It's got a little bit more of a woodiness to it. I'm getting a little bit of almost like a raisin in there a little bit. And then it also finishes off into a plum, dried fruit in a way almost in that guy. Let's move on to number 2. Nose is a little bit more rounded off here. I'm getting a little bit of cherry, a little bit more vanilla, a little bit of maple almost too. This guy's a little bit more fancy on the nose. I like the nose on this a lot. More rounded. Let's get into the palate. On the palate, that same weird French oak thing happens where you get that fresh oakness to it, but then it finishes off. These are very, very similar. Very similar in the palates. Wow. Very hard to differentiate. Number 1 has more of a sweetness to it. Number 2 has more of a punch of flavor with that sweetness, but then I also get a cinnamon in there as well, with like a very baking spices in that. That rye is very, very forward. That rye, that makes me think it's this, with that rye, where this is sweet. That sweetness is just so upfront with this guy. That softness on this one is so nice though. I am going to give these, on my right, a score of 1 out of 10. I'm going to give this guy a 6.5. And on my left, I'm going to give this guy a score of 7. I think that this one is the Penelope, only because I do get that cinnamon in there. So let's check it. This is the Maker's. This is the Maker's. This is the Maker's 46 right here in my hand. And this is the Penelope. Yes, I didn't mess it up. Wow. Guys, the Maker's 46 at $30. Beat the Penelope Architect at $62. Paid $62 for that and I paid $30 for that. This is what this series is going to be all about, putting these bourbons up to the test to see if that price difference really makes a difference. And on episode number 1, the $30 bourbon beat out the $60 bourbon. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I enjoyed making it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you are brand new. The channel is shooting to the moon, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Again, if you guys liked the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Nathan with The Everyday Drinker. Cheers.